Hi, I'm Doug from Old Crappy Couch. I have a very special story to share with you. Around this time last year, I was researching a story of a small town in the Northwoods of Minnesota called Bain that had disappeared after the fires of 1918. And to be honest, when I was first researching the story, I was really more interested about the story of a ghost town. I wasn't really familiar about the scope and the damage of the fires of 1918 until I had done this project. When I was visiting the Historical Society, they actually had taped interviews from people who were there. And so I'd like to share with you an interview that I found from a Mr. Herman Pittman, who had been working for the railroad at the time and actually helped people evacuate during the fires. His first-hand account is chilling at times, to say the least, but, well, I'll let you hear it for yourself.
The afternoon of October 12th, 1918, the country was full of smoke that you couldn't see over half a mile. And about 3 o'clock that afternoon, the freight came in from the range over here, and we had engineer and some flat cars, three flat cars with water barrels on, and I think about 6 box cars. He came in, he picked us up. He said they got a fire up towards Lawler, so we took off for that, and we didn't get up there until about 4:30, 4:45, and the whole town was burning at that time except the depot and the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse was made out of metal.
This was the town of Lawler now?
That's Lawler. Okay. And so we had about 230 people in that schoolhouse, and the doggone walls was so hot you couldn't put your hands on them. So we got those out of there and loaded them off the train, backed up to East Lake, cut the train off, went back into Lawler, and picked up 8 more people there, and the depot burnt while we were there. And all the other buildings were gone except that old schoolhouse, and that was metal, it wasn't burned. And we tried to get through to Tomba and Kettle River, but the bridges were out over there, and we couldn't get east. And that whole country was on fire. And that was when, from there on, that fire went through, clear on through to Moose Lake, and cleaned up Moose Lake. And actually, I think that fire covered about 235 acres.
The bridges were burned out.
The railroad bridges burned out. Crushed.
How did you get from Lawler then over towards Moose Lake, or did you?
We couldn't. And the road coming down from the highway, which is 210 now, there was a bunch of cars up in that country there. Everything was on fire up there. Everybody was trying to get out of the country, and they was trying to outrun the fire. And they came down through the Kettle River area there, and there's a bad curve on the Dead Moose River down there, and there was 26 cars went into that gully down there, and there was 26 dead people in the cars.
26 people died on that curve because they run off the road. Couldn't see where they were going because of the smoke and the ashes.
And then from there on, I don't know what happened up there, but we pulled back into Aiken. That was during the flu season. So we had to find room for all these 230-some people that we brought into Aiken. And the town of Aiken was in danger. It was almost burnt too. If it hadn't been for that new ditch that had dug on the west side of town here, part of Aiken would have probably burnt. And north of Aiken here, that bog up there north of the Petersburg corner, that was all burning. Then up north of us, we had what we called the Bain Fire. And that started up there, and that burnt across and east, jumped the Willow, and also jumped the Mississippi River. That burned about 50,000 acres. And then up Cloquet, their fire started right in the wood yard up there, jumped the river into the town and burnt the town, ran through, and I don't know how far east that went, but they still had fires in Duluth too, around Duluth.
This is all from what you call the 1918 fire now. So in other words, you're telling me that there was more than one spot that was on fire.
There was hundreds of fires burning in the country here. And the trouble of it was, there was so many of these fires all finally got into being one. But there was hundreds of peat fires in the country all over. When that wind came up, there was clocked up there near Duluth at 90 miles an hour. And so but that was what it was. Actually, the 1908 fire was just a series of hundreds of small fires that finally all got together and became one fire.
Tell them about the explosion in the air from that.
Well, we were in Waller that night there. There's so much gas from the pine and balsam spruce in there. It sounded like a dynamite going off up there. You'd see a flash of lightning. It looked like lightning in the clouds and the smoke clouds, and it just boomed just like that, just like thunder,
Gas coming out.
That was gas burning from the smoke, right?
Yeah, that was gas from that fire.
Okay, Herman, you mentioned that there was a flu epidemic at the same time, and you moved 200 and some people into Aitkin. Where did you put all of these people when you moved them into Aitkin?
As far as I know, the biggest share of them were quartered down at the schoolhouse. That was kind of a hospital there at the time for the flu epidemic, too. They had a lot of people in there, no hospital, so they moved them all into the school down there and put cots in there and took care of them. And we were dying off like flies around here,
They were fed and bunked right there at the school, and that's the old school that was just... How long a time did you actually spend fighting the fire in 1918? Days, months, or year, whatever it might be?
We didn't fight the fire very long after that. It's around it was a week or so after the big fire went through. They were practically done with the fire. It was all under control. That was as far as it ever went. But they're out. We had to go out here and there, like on west of town there. We had peat fires under the railroad grade over there. We finally went down and dug them all out and burnt out those big pockets there on the west of the town there, and where those water holes are there.
The snow or rain coming to fall then, or stop some of that, or?
Well, I don't remember when we got rain, but we must have got rain later on in October, because we didn't have any more fires after that big fire, because there wasn't anything left to burn.
In other words, you're telling me that the fire actually, other than the peat fires, had burnt itself out.
A lot of them did, yeah. A lot of them. After the wind went down, well, the fire slowed down, and then the natives down in there finally managed to take care of them. Down south of the Lawler there, that fire didn't go too far south there, about 5 miles south of Lawler, and that was as far as it ever went. But the ones over east that went through Moose Lake and down in there, that went almost down to Sturgeon Lake. Jumped the Moosehorn River down there in several places. In fact, the fire even jumped Moose Lake when the fire burned at Moose Lake. The shingles and stuff across the lake started a lot of spot fires there.
This, by far, then, in your experience firefighting and working with the forestry and all of this, was probably the worst fire that you've ever seen then?
That was the worst one I was ever into. I had a lot of years later, but nothing like that.
Thank you so much for watching. I still find it hard to believe that the worst natural disaster in the history of the state of Minnesota was in fact a wildfire and not a flood as one would expect from the land of 10,000 lakes. Anyway, I'd like to take a moment to thank the wonderful volunteers at the Aitkin County Historical Society for their help with this project. I urge you to visit your local historical society. Wonderful men and women put in countless hours of work for our benefit, and it's very much worth your time to go see and make sure that you support them in what they do. In fact, many of them, I'm sure, could use volunteers like you. Well, thanks for watching.